Hello and a very, very warm welcome to the very first Stevens Forwards podcast. Now, if you're new to the channel or is your first time you've heard of Stevens Forwards, my name's Stephen and I like to talk about anything to do with cars, so hence why I've called my channel Stevens Four Wheel. So this is my very first podcast that I'm going to be doing. It's a bit of a trial. I'm going to see how well it does, see if you guys enjoy it. Hopefully going to do some more, that's the plan anyway, but I thought this time we'll do a little bit of trial, a little bit of pilot episode and just see what you guys like. So just very quickly before we get going, I just wanted to mention that I actually do have a range of merchandise for the Stevens Four Wheels. I've put a link in the description below. In short, we have small stickers, £4 including postage, large stickers which are £6 including postage, and we also have some key rings just new in stock, which again are £6 and you guessed it, include postage. So I've put a link in the description below. Any support that you can show would be greatly received. Thank you very much. So let's get into our very first topic then. This is something that links to my YouTube channel. Now, if you follow my YouTube channel, you know I've been sort of umming about selling one of my SLKs. So it's the 2011 R1s to SLK 200. That's a lot of letters and numbers to say in one go there. And basically, my topic is, if a car is no longer fun or enjoyable, should you sell the car? So if you're no longer if you're using the car, having fun with it, and it doesn't actually bring any enjoyment to your life, should you sell the car? Now, I have sort of two theories on this, and I'll go into the first one. So my newer SLK, I honestly don't really use the car that much, but I would have liked to have kept it if it didn't cause me problems. Now, obviously, it has been causing me issues. I've had twice the steering wheel lock go in it, so you basically put the key in and it makes a noise, and that's apparently when the steering locks come off. So you put the key in, it automatically turns the steering lock off. Basically, that's broken on me twice. Basically means I can't start the car because the steering wheel lock won't come off. So yeah, put the key in. It should make the noise to say, oh, you turn the steering wheel lock off. It does automatically when you put the key in. Without that, you can't start the car. So that's broken twice. First time it was intermittent. The second time it went completely. So I ended up with the car sitting there on the drive, not being able to do anything, which wasn't fun. Thankfully, I managed to get a locksmith out for recommended a friend of a friend of a friend sort of thing. And he solved it, actually came out, solved it. He was there for about 5 hours doing it though. He's done Mercedes ones before, never done an SLK, and he never wants to do another SLK after changing his mind. Thankfully, it worked, and I haven't had any problem with it since, thankfully. Second issue was that timing chain went. A few different issues that could have caused this, but I'm quite surprised how frail those engines are. Actually, I would have thought they'd be a bit better built, but anyway. That was £1,700, bearing in mind that at the time I worked at Mercedes dealer, so I actually got a discounted price, so I dread to think how much it would actually cost if I hadn't got this employee discount. I have heard some of the V6s go, and they were, I think someone got quoted £4,000 to put it right, so yeah, not particularly the best. I think, to be honest, a lot of it was about £900 worth of parts. Plus, if you got VAT on there as well, £700. So yeah, they helped me out quite a bit, to be fair, on that one. So, and recently then I've had my car's parked up, ready to go. I'm going to start sending it, and obviously had a roof tile for on the windscreen, which isn't very fun. Now, I took this to Autoglass because this is my first issue I had. They couldn't come to me because the car's got a camera, like a speed recognition camera, built into the windscreen. Well, you know, built into the gibby. It has to be calibrated when you have a new windscreen. Mobile technicians can't do this, has to go to a place. Now, I couldn't drive the car anywhere purely because it had smashed on the driver's side. I couldn't actually see where I was going, so I can't drive a car like that. So I had to thankfully get my friend Matt from Traverse Transport to take the car over, which is only about sort of 7-8 mile away, so what really annoyed me, over to the Autoglass site, and he dropped it off for me. Fantastic. I got a phone call an hour later saying, oh, we've actually got a problem. I was like, oh no. I thought the first time I had all the one windscreen in there. I had the white windscreen, they got everything ready. They actually found that one of the aerial connectors, so the aerial was actually built into the windscreen of the SLK, that had actually snapped and actually broken, so they couldn't fit the windscreen up. And they said, well, the problem is now we've got the windscreen out of the car, so we can't put it back in, so we're going to have to store it in our unit overnight. They were able to order the part, but it was going to take 2 days to get there, which is fine. Okay, they've sorted it out for me. Didn't mind that. It ended up being done, I think, last thing on Tuesday, so I picked it Wednesday morning. But yeah, I don't know, at the moment with that car, it's just sort of pushing back on me a lot. I suppose the quite funny thing is that I've been talking about selling that car, and every time I mention about selling it, it seems to throw a bit of a wobbly, and something happens to it, and it's just like it's almost like it knows it wants to be sold almost. But it's funny because I almost feel like that car knows it's being sold. It's almost, I always say cars have personalities, and the car almost knows it's being sold, and having a little bit of a strop about it. So it's probably, yeah, definitely hasn't helped my feelings about the car having all these issues with it. So I'm still looking at selling it, and I'm hoping now it's in a state where I can actually get it cleaned up, one final clean, and hopefully I'm going to try and get it sold. So that's work in progress. I'll update you obviously if that does get sold. I'm not looking for another car to replace it at the moment, so I'm not going to look at part exchange against anything. Um, so yeah, hopefully that should be alright. We'll get it sold and then we'll see what happens. But I say I don't want another car. You'll find something else will crop up in a month, and then I'll probably end up spending loads of money on that. It'll be another little project. That's a story for another day. So my other theory is that obviously I have two older cars. I have my R107 SR and my R170 SLK. Now those do have problems, but I actually quite enjoy them. I enjoy fixing them. I've bought the SLK as a project. It was £500. It had various issues. If you haven't seen or heard about this car, please go into my YouTube channel. I have got a Project £500 SLK playlist, which goes through all the things I've done to the car and all the improvements that I've done to it. I haven't been able to do everything myself. I haven't done like servicing. I generally let other people do that. I also haven't done the bodywork myself because obviously you need all the specialist equipment, paint booths, and all that. But some of the stuff like the mass airflow sensor I've done the fan control unit, changed that myself, and I've started to really enjoy it and actually learn quite a bit about cars. Actually looking at today before I started this podcast, actually trying to regas the air conditioning because the air conditioning doesn't work very well. So I'm hoping to do a bit of a regas on that. And I've been sort of looking at and researching the way on how to do that. So hopefully that'll be my next little thing that I look at doing in that car. But my main point here is that I actually enjoy solving problems on that car. I enjoy boarding that car back up again, taking it from something that was a bit down its heels and actually making it into something that's really desirable and something that's worth going to shows in now. So I think my final point here is that I know I'm adding value to the SLK. Any work I do with the SL is adding value to it. I also know these cars are going to probably appreciate in value. SLK is generally one that I've got the most, probably worth about £2,000, £2.5 grand. So I know it shouldn't depreciate any more than that. Obviously, I only pay £500 to it. I've probably got about somewhere between two and a half into it. So I'm about in what I've got into it, what it's worth. So hopefully that should appreciate in value over time. I don't expect to do it overnight. I don't expect to make money on the car really. But I do like to think that they are going to appreciate in value. Obviously, my new SLK, that's only going to keep going down in value. I think I've been quite smart and bought it at a reasonable price about over 6 years ago, and it hasn't lost that much appreciation. Not as much as you think of a new car. If you drive at the show, it lose thousands of pounds. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. If a car is no longer fun or enjoyable, should you sell it? Have you experienced with this? Have you had a car that's just been a bit of a pain in the what's it? And you've just thought, I've had enough of this, and do you regret selling it? Are you glad you sold it? Let me know in the comments below. So my second topic, we've all heard about crimes against humanity. However, I want to talk about a topic even more important than that, and that's crimes against car detailing. As you guys will know from my YouTube channel, I do various sort of product reviews and detailing guides and whatnot. Trying to show people not necessarily the right way of doing it, but the way I detail my cars. Now, obviously, I have quite a few different products. I've built up my skills over the last sort of 10 years or so, and I think I'm a fairly good detailer. I won't say I'm the world's best detailer, nor will I ever say this is the way to detail a car. This is my way that I detail a car. Whether you agree with it, disagree with it, is up to you, to be quite honest with you. I think detailing is quite a personal topic. Everyone has a different opinion on it. Everyone uses different products. Everyone has different ways of doing different processes. So it's one of those. But I think we can all agree on something that I saw a couple of months ago. Now, I was out walking my dogs at the time, and I walked past one of the houses in my village, and there was a bloke out on his drive with a bucket. filled with some soapy water in your puffin. That doesn't sound too bad. First thing that I noticed was that he wasn't actually using anything that you should be using to clean the car in terms of what you actually use, i.e. a sponge or something. Now, sponge you shouldn't generally use. It's quite common knowledge that you should use probably some microfiber sort of mitt or pad or whatever. No, he was just using what I could gather was something like, I don't know, old pillowcase or an old bit of material or something. Um, yeah, it didn't look like he'd washed the car off as well. He's sort of halfway through it, and it wasn't a particularly warm day, so the water couldn't have dried from him posing the car first. So obviously getting all the sort of loose bits of dirt into his whether a pillowcase or call it a pillowcase or old t-shirt or bit of old rag, whatever he's using, into that. Then he's putting in his water. Now I generally tend to more on my SLKs and the SL use the two bucket system. So the idea is you use your mitt, get all the rubbish off your car and put it into the bucket, into the water bucket. Then you rinse it out and then you put it back into your soapy water bucket. And that's the way you should do it. But obviously he was doing this, so I dread to think what the bottom of his bucket looked like when he tipped it out. Next thing that I saw, which was probably the biggest sort of cardinal sin which you shouldn't do when you're washing a car, I then saw on the ground next to him was a bottle of fairy washing up liquid. I'm sure you all could have seen that one coming. So between the old pillowcase, whatever it was, the old t-shirt, the one bucket system, and the fairy washing up liquid, there was sort of three big things there he was doing wrong. I'm sure there was more things he was doing wrong, but yeah, I felt the urge to go up to him and just tell him all the stuff that I was doing wrong, but then I kind of thought it's none of my business really. I wouldn't do it on my cars as long as that's the main point really. I wouldn't do it to my own cars. I sort of expect that in my daily driver I sort of take a little bit more care of that. I might not go to the detail that I do on my SLK because it is out every day of the week, but I do like to take care of it and look after it a little bit more, maybe than he will look after a car. So, have you seen any crimes against car detailing? Please do drop it into the comments below. I'm sure we all know someone who uses fairy washing up liquid. Obviously, other brands of washing up liquid are available as well. So, final topic today is itches that need scratching. Now, I'm not talking about something you go to the doctor with and get some cream for. I'm actually talking about what cars would you love to own? Have you got an itch that needs scratching? For me, I still have an itch for an AMG. Um, I've sort of had my itches for a classic Mercedes, which I've now got in my form of my SL. I love sort of 90s Mercs, which obviously my SLK sort of falls into that category, making it words now. I've sort of got to the point now where actually I would love an AMG. Now, for me, there's two sorts of AMGs that I would absolutely love. One would be an AMG GT. I did a Mercedes Benz World experience in one of those, and it was funny because I drove a C63 and an AMG GT back to back, and the difference was night and day. The C63, great car, don't get me wrong, I absolutely think that's a fantastic car, but you could tell that the C63 was a car bought by Mercedes and then AMG had their sort of work to do in it then. Whereas you can sort of tell with the AMG GT, it was a car bought by AMG completely. Now, obviously, there are different types of cars. It was a C63 Saloon. Obviously, it's bigger, it's heavier, it's higher centre of gravity, all that stuff. But yeah, just the difference between it was night and day when you're flinging around the track, when you're putting your foot down. Yeah, just amazing. Even though they had the same engine, obviously tuned slightly differently, but yeah, night and day it was. So I sort of feel like I could happily go for an AMG GT. Um, and the other one is possibly a 90s or an early 2000s AMG. I already mentioned that I sort of have a thing for 90s Mercs. They're often underappreciated, and I just think something like an E-Class AMG, whether it be sort of an E36 or an E55, something like a W210 series would be absolutely amazing. I had also thought about trading in my current R172 SLK for something like a 32 AMG R170, but as I've already got one of them, I sort of feel like I'd love something else. I'd also sort of looked at something like a 220 series S Class 55 AMG, which were really interesting. Who knows? They are quite rare those sort of late 90s early 2000s AMG, and some of them now are starting to fetch big money. Actually, I think people have realised all these cars are actually quite special. And something like a C55 W203, they can go for any up to sort of 20 grand now, actually. So there is something non-Mercedes that I would like to go for. For some reason, I have an itch for a 90s Rover. Now, I can't quite explain why. Everything in my head says no, don't do it. But whenever I see sort of like a Metro, not any old Metro, maybe something like a Metro GTA or GTI or something, I just really like them. I just think that there's something in me that says that's quite nice. I don't know why. I can't explain it. So yeah, I probably will never actually own one. What other cars would I like to own maybe one day? I have a slight itching for a Porsche, the other sort of well-known brand from Stuttgart. I do always have a look at the Brightwell's auction, so I bought my SL from Brightwell's auction house down in Leominster in Herefordshire, um, and I always have a look at their auction. They do an auction about every sort of 6 to 8 weeks. And they do a classic car auction, also a modern classic auction as well, which they call the online garage. That's very fancy, only garage for us normal people. Um, and I always have a look on there, and they've got one coming up sort of end of July. I think it's 31st July, and then the online garage auction is on the 1st of August, and they have quite a few tasty stuff in at the moment. There is a Porsche Boxster as well, it looks quite nice. 2001 in sort of grey. There was a Porsche 944 in Guards Red, that looks absolutely amazing. There was even a W202 C250 diesel. Now, that's actually quite special for me. That was my dad's first Mercedes, and I actually have very fond memories in that car. Um, I'll mention one quick story. It was a red car with cream fabric into it. I don't think it was leather, I think it was fabric. Now, I was quite partial to a jelly tot when I was little. Now, these are sort of small, sugar coated little jelly sweets. Unfortunately, on a baking hot day, I decided while I was eating my sort of favourite snack that I would drop one, or drop, I think about two or three, onto the seats. Now, this wouldn't ordinarily be a problem, but being a baking hot day and they dropped in the sun, they literally welded themselves to the fabric. And because it was a company car, and my dad was trying to look after it, so as my dad got me out of the car, he happened to notice. Obviously, this was a pure innocent accident. So I didn't mean to do it, but he noticed these jelly tots on the seat. So I went to pick them up. Noticed that I literally melted onto the seat. So I managed to get them off, but I'd left marks on the seat. So I don't know what colour jelly tots they were, but I can imagine, particularly if you get like a black currant one, probably left a nice sort of dark blue black mark on the seat. So I was never allowed jelly tots after that, unfortunately, but probably for good reason, to be honest. So, but anyway, back to what I was meant to talk about. I always have a look at the Brightwell's auction. They always have some very interesting stuff in there, and I'm hoping that I don't bid on anything else soon, but I can't promise anything, I'm afraid. So what's coming up on Stephen's Falls over on my YouTube channel next? Well, actually, I've got a new little project I'm starting. I haven't bought another car, don't worry. I'm actually going to be starting a little bit of a garage ball. Now, we've got a little barn on our property, and as I've mentioned before, one of my videos from about a month or so ago, we're currently having the roof redone and have some other little bits and pieces done to it as well. And then we're hopefully, well, I'm hoping anyway, I'll be able to park my cars in there. Eventually, it's going to be converting some accommodation to make a living space, but at the moment, we're just going to do the shell and the boarding because there's other projects that we want to get on with in the main house as well. So hopefully that's going to be a nice place to put a couple of cars in there. So I'm going to put my SL and my older SLK. I'm doing a video currently all about that and what I'm planning for the space. And I think I'm also going to a little pub at the side as well. Just a thing just for me to do. It's an invitation only pub, not open to the public, obviously. Just something I can have a couple of drinks out there, sit out there, work on the cars a little bit more, and just have my own little space really, which I'm really looking forward to. So that's going to be quite a good project. Probably not ready to move into as such until the end of August. So I've got a bit of time to start buying a few bits and pieces, start planning out what I want to do with the space. That's an interesting project coming up. So if you want to support the channel and the podcast, please do make sure you pop over and purchase some merch. I've put a link in the description below. However, if you don't want to spend any money, that's perfectly fine. You can show your support by hitting that subscribe button, also hitting the like button, and you can also comment as well. It's always nice to get some positive feedback. So I think that brings us to pretty much the end of our first podcast. This is really just a bit of an experiment, this one, so I'm sort of kind of a little bit of a structure of it, talking about a few topics. And I think we're going to finish with a fact, so I'm hoping every episode might come up with a fact. And this time it is SLK related. I think most of these will probably be SLK or SL related. But did you know that Yellowstone was the original launch colour on the R170? So you see quite a few pictures of yellow, quite a bright yellow it was, of bright yellow R170 SLKs. However, they did actually bring this colour back, so you can only get an R170. Then when they did the R172 SLC final edition, you could have it in Selenite Grey or Yellowstone as a sort of, they brought back that original coverage, a nice little touch. But there you go, there's me fact of this podcast. So thank you very much for listening. I was about to say watching, but thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this first podcast. Please let me know any feedback in the comments below. Also hit that like button as well, and subscribe to the channel to make sure you find out more of my upcoming videos. And also, if I decide another podcast, you'll be the first one to find out about it if you subscribe to the channel. So thank you very much again for listening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.